My name is Owais Atta Siddiqui, as you must aware. Um, I have been working with PwC for around 8 years and currently working in one of the strategic arms of Islamic Development Bank. I work around 16 countries globally, covering all major regions, including South Asia, Middle East, Levant, then Southeast Asia, and the North Africa side. So this is what I have been working on. This is my career client. This is a long list. So I have been working with the central banks, with the ministries, specifically Ministry of Finance. Then I have been working with financial institutions mostly as I mentioned, around 16 countries. So I've worked in Pakistan mainly, but I've also worked in Turkey, in Malaysia, in Kazakhstan, Bahrain, uh, Jordan, and the list is long. So let's just stop here. Academically, I have a degree in actuarial science and risk management. I am pursuing an MPhil in economics, leading to PhD. I am a certified FRM, and this is why we are here today. So that's something that I'll just shortly discuss about the FRM journey. Other than that, I have been involved in academia. First, I used to supervise a lot of theses and technical reports of various universities. Then I taught in Institute of Business Management, CBM. Then also at University of Karachi. Other than that, I have been going as a guest speaker in a number of other institutions in Pakistan, largely universities. Then I am into reading and writing also. So I am currently a corresponding author at Islamic Finance News Malaysia, which is one of the leading magazines in Islamic finance, which has a presence in around 70 countries. So the writing articles I write on a monthly basis are usually published in their magazine, and it reaches around 70 countries globally, 70 countries globally. So this is pretty much my academic and professional career. Professionally, as I said earlier, I have been working in risk management domain. So in early 8 years of my career, I have been working PwC. I have worked on all sort of risk management that we can do. So I have worked on, let's say, the Basel two pillar one side, credit risk, market risk, operational risk, then pillar two ICAP, internal capital adequacy and assessment program, and then pillar three, the minimum capital requirement and disclosures basically. So I have worked on policies, on procedures, on model development, on system evaluations, specifically on system implementation. So on system development. So there had been a lot of things that I had been working. Recently, I have started conducting trainings on risk management. Also, I had just my training on stress testing guidelines just on Saturday in Lahore, and it will be in Karachi in the coming week. So I have been on the corporate training side also. My FRM journey. So basically, it started back in I think June 2010, a long time back, almost a decade back. This is how I looked like at that time. I remember there was this assignment on Basel II implementation that I started, and when I signed up, I hoped that I will get a lot of time since I was junior, and I felt that I will get penalty of time to read, but then I was actually allocated a different task. So basically, I was given the responsibility of consolidating all the information requirement from the bank. And since it was a public bank, all of the information used to come as hard copy. So, and what actually happened when everyone was going, since it was the start of the project, everyone used to leave earlier. That's how it happens in the big four and in the audit life. If you are one of them, you must relate to it. So when everyone used to go to their home at 5:30 to 6, all of these files came to arrive, and I had to update it, and I had to report it to my senior manager back then. So things actually went against my expectations, but nevertheless, this is the achievement that we had these files on the background on the second picture from the left. So we made these files all tagging and all the things, so all of the audit people can relate to it. putting in the separators and tagging it and making sure that everything is there, and then updating a soft copy it and also. So it was a tiring work, but nevertheless I was able to take time out, some time out. So I used to carry this book with me, the FRM. It used to be like this back then. It has been changing, but it used to be like then. So this is my friend Abid, a very good friend of mine. He works in Saudi now. So what he did, he just colored this the teeth of this lady, and he told that, you cannot just concentrate on studies because of this lady. So I would rather do this. Anyway, so it was a good time. I appeared in FRM in November 2010. Having said that, basically, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I had this inner wish of clearing FRM in first attempt. So, having been work in Ferguson in PwC, I had been hearing, oh, he cleared CFA in first attempt. Oh, he's cleared CA in first attempt. So I had this sort of fascination. I don't know if I know it's not something to be proud of that much, but I had this fascination that, I really wanted to clear FRM in first attempt. I didn't know that whether I would be able to do that or not, but I kept working on it. So you can imagine it's been 10 years and I'm still telling you this story. So you can imagine what sort of fascination I must have had. So anyway, so I appeared in November 2010. It used to be part one, part two. Uh, FRM used to have one level only, one part only, back in 2007 to 8. Then they split into two parts. But then appeared in FRM. Alhamdulillah, I cleared it in first attempt. The part one exam, as we'll just discuss, actually part one is probably tougher than part two. Okay, so it has a lot of quantitative, a lot of statistics. So when I appeared in exam, and when I actually it used to be in Movenpick at the dance hall. I had seniors sitting on my left, on my back, on my behind, seniors from university. And when I finished the exam, it was the first sort of exam, MCQ based exam. I was from university background, so I had never attempted such a program. So when I completed it, I had no clue of what I actually did in the exam. There were some blind guesses, I think, in the end. And when I finished it, I just started laughing. So I was just laughing, and I was like laughing like crazy. And people here and there was looking at me, and they were like, "Ke pagal ho gaya ye banda na?" And then I remembered my senior Nabil. He was sitting there, and he asked, "Do you have that good of exam?" And I was like, "That dude, I don't know how did it go, and that's why I'm laughing. I don't even know I what I did." Anyway, it turned out that it actually went well, very well, alhamdulillah, and I cleared it in first attempt. Then the part two exam I appeared in May 2012, sorry, 2011, and I was able to clear it in first attempt. So yes, that fascination was fulfilled. That wish was fulfilled by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, alhamdulillah. And this is something that I still quote because uh, at that time, risk advisory, almost each and every one was appearing in FRM. It used to be like this, because if you are in investment, you are into CFA. If you are into risk advisory, each and everyone is appearing in FRM. So a lot of people were not able to clear it, and that's a fact. It has a pass ratio of around 50%. So for me, it was an achievement, and I was actually proud of it. Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. But yes, so I was able to achieve it, and then the story continued. I kept working there for good 8 years. Then I moved to my current role of Islamic rating agency. So IRA is an strategy arm of Islamic Development Bank. So as I told earlier, I work in around 16 countries. So I have got an opportunity of traveling into a lot of countries, meeting the for banks. I meet like their senior executive management, the CEOs, and sometimes the board. On a government level, I have been meeting Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Economy, Banking and Regulatory Supervision Authority, central banks. Let's say this is a picture in the middle. On the left is actually from my picture in the central bank. It takes a lot of guts to actually take a picture like that when you are sitting just beside your boss, but I managed that too. So basically, I have been working in a lot an event in my university where I talked as an alumni. And then on the right most, I told you earlier, I had been involved in corporate training. So I conducted a webinar with Pakistan Stock Exchange last year, not last year, I think early this year, and I was featured in their newsletter just below the sitting prime minister. So it was an honor for me. So not that I met him or conducted a debate, but having featured just below the prime minister is something I'm really proud of. So this has been my FRM journey. Basically, now moving on to onto GARP and the certification. So Global Association of Risk Professionals is actually the institution that offers GARP, this FRM certification. It is started back in 1997. There are around 50,000 certified FRMs globally. They are employed internationally in almost all major banks, asset management firms, hedge funds, consulting firms, regulators, and even in non-financial institutions. FRM does cover non-financial institution, and they mention that the FRM practices are equally applicable to non-financial institutions. This is something I keep hearing, that FRM is specific to financial sector only. So yes, basically if FRM, and this is something I also receive in one of the queries from the participants. So yes, predominantly, primarily, it's related to financial sector, but risk management is widening, and I'm a strong advocate that risk management is going to be future. So you will not just see it in the banks, but you are going to see it in the non-financial sector also, and people have started working on it already. You must have seen, I don't know, you have seen it or not, but I know non-financial institution adopted the practice of enterprise risk management. So this is somewhat related to financial risk management. Uh, it has been growing at a very high pace. It has been growing around 13% since 2019, and it has registered a growth of 20% in 2017-18. The last figure I said, there were around 85,000 registrants of FRM Part 1 and Part 2 every year. So this is just an introduction of FRM. It is undoubtedly, it is considered as one of the major and the leading certification in risk management. So we had, when I started doing and researching it, there used to be a certification. It was called PRM, Professional Risk Management. It's still there, but it couldn't be able to achieve the presence and the significance, the sort of significance that actually FRM could achieve. So it has a lot of recognition, not only in Pakistan. Pakistan specifically, people recognize FRM pretty much, especially in the financial sector. But its demand has been consistently increasing over the years. So CFN and FRM are actually rated equally. FRM for risk management and CFA for investment side. So it has made its name. It's a lot of recognition. I have my student. His name is Marich. He was in my last batch of FRM. So he said that he's moving to US. FRM is pretty very much recognized there, and that was the reason that he opted to pursue FRM despite being having, I don't know, 4 or 5 other certifications. So as a field leading this designations, FRM is the key integration of candidates with proven ability and experience. So FRM shows that you have the ability and you have the required strength and required competence to be able to grasp the concept and actually be able to clear a particular specific exam. This is something we'll just discuss, but this is the badge. So if you are FRM certified, you can officially get it on your LinkedIn profile, and it looks great on the profile. By the way, if I don't know, so let me show this little pen. So this is something that I got with my FRM certification. One of the key things that I got, I kept it in the drawer for like 10 years, but when I recently I started doing corporate trainings and teaching FRM, I have taken it out and I wear it with a lot of pride wherever I go to conduct trainings. Onto the benefits of the program. So a lot of people are actually considering whether they should be opting for FRM or not. So there are broadly 5 benefits that I could come up with. The first one is career enhancements. Okay, so obviously any certification, and if you have such a specialized certification such as FRM, it helps you in your career enhancement. Okay, so people ask me whether they will be able to join risk management after completing FRM or not. The answer is I'm not sure about it, but definitely it will give you an edge. Okay, so there are organizations. I was just collecting CVs for one of the big four in the KSA for the risk management department, and the guy specifically asked me that the CVs that I shared with him, none of them had an FRM, and FRM is actually a requirement of getting in there. So yes, a lot of organizations actually prefer FRMs, and obviously, if you have an FRM, and if you this is the example that I usually give. So if you have a person A who doesn't have an FRM, and if there is a person B who has an FRM, keeping everything constant, let's say education and experience and everything constant, obviously the person with an FRM will be preferred. And nevertheless, let me tell you, such a prestigious certification will give you an advantage maybe 10 years later. So when I was doing FRM, I never thought that I would be teaching it one day. So for last 10 years, people had been saying me that you should teach FRM, you should teach FRM, you should teach FRM. But I never got time to actually teach it. But as things move on to online and we had this COVID, so for me it was a positive development that I started teaching it and got a very good response, alhamdulillah. As we'll discuss it further later, online classes are actually the kind of attention and dedication I give to these online classes. It is as good as physical classes. You won't, you may not believe it. Okay, so but there's something that you will probably experience. So I take teaching very seriously. I mean, one of my students from the last page actually commented that West takes things personally in a good way. So people used to say me that was, oh, okay, all right, we are professionals, we understand, we know that we have to do our assignments, but we are trying our best. So so I go to that level. Teaching is my passion. There's nothing I can do about it. Anyway, so coming back to the education enhancement, you will definitely get a lot of education and will get a lot of understanding. The process side, the literature side. So you will read a lot of risk management related stuff. Let it be credit risk, let it be market risk, let it be operational risk, let it be foundation of risk management, let it be foundation of investment risk management, let it be anything. So let it be financial crisis. So it has a holistic syllabus which keep updated every year. So you will definitely get a lot of education and enhancement. Then the networking. So basically, as I just showed you that we have around 50,000 certified FRM. So when I am an FRM and I'll meet an FRM, so we have this common commonality between us. So we will get along together naturally. This is how things work in the real life. So if you are from University of Karachi and you meet someone who is from University of Karachi, so even if you are from different department, you have this natural inclination towards each other. Okay, so so this alumni thing actually very strong, and it provides a lot of networking opportunities. I have created a WhatsApp group of for risk professionals. I am personally working on it, so I have around 300 400 participants, members until there now. I'm still trying to improve it to make it more knowledgeable. It is not like other WhatsApp groups where you will keep getting forwarded messages. It's not like that, but I keep sharing good stuff which is good for the risk professionals. So you will get a lot of networking opportunities. And quoting my mentor, his name was Bashir Sayyed. He was one of the few Pakistani who worked in NASA. Who so he once said me that in this era of technology, Wes, it doesn't matter what you know, but who you know. Okay, so this is a debatable point, but knowing people does matter in our environment. Then the leadership skills. So completing a rigorous program like this, you will show that you have the courage to actually lead something. You show your commitment, your professional excellence, that you can take something, you can pick something up, you develop it, you put a lot of hours into it, and then you complete it. So that shows leadership skills. And then the global recognition. FRM is has candidates in over 100 countries. So 100 countries is around 50% of the country, of the world. And these are like all major countries. It has a lot of presence in China. So if you will go to the GARF website, you will see that they have different sections for Chinese students. Okay, so and in most of the books that Schweizer and GARF come up with, you will see a lot of Chinese in the picture. So Chinese covers around what, 20% of the population. So it has a lot of global recognition in Pakistan also. And this goes with combination. So someone was asking about CPA and FRM. That's a natural combination. But one thing that mostly probably Indians had been doing, that they had been linking IT with FRM. So if you are from an IT background and you do risk management, then cyber security and all these areas are going to be huge. It's going to be huge as we are going online, as we are treating everything online. Cyber security risk is getting bigger and bigger and bigger with every passing day. So basically that's an area that can be explored. So if any of your friend is from IT background, and if you're not, so maybe you can convince them and introduce them to this particular program. So these are the benefits, just a few benefits that I came up with, but broadly cover the range that we should be seeking. So equivalent degree levels, this is something that I have taken from the GARC website itself, and this is as per a survey that an independent organization did for with association with GARC. So they say that basically FRM is equivalent to American master's degree standard. Okay, so that is pretty huge. I mean, this is the complexity level, the comprehensive of the program. It's as high as an American master's degree. Then they have given different levels. Obviously, I'm not aware of how these frameworks work in UK and the European Union and the Hong Kong, but Singapore is again one of the AAA rated country, one of the best developed countries in the world. They also equate it to Singaporean master's program. They equate it to India's master program. So it has an equivalence of master's program. Obviously, you won't be able to call yourself a master, but if you have a bachelor's degree and you have an FRM certification, that it will give you an edge. Okay. So now moving on to the FRM curriculum. So it has basically two parts, as I told you earlier. The first part has four areas. The first one is foundation risk management. The second one is quantitative financial markets and products and valuation risk model. So in the foundation, we're talking about the risk management cycle. What sort of risk are there? How do you identify risk? Then you move on to investment risk management. You will study CAPM, the FAMA French model, and a different sort of portfolio management related thing that you will move. Then you will also study some of the basic stuff like ethics and other related stuff. Then quantitative analysis, probably the toughest that people find. And this is something that I keep getting curious about, that in the classes, will you be able to cover the quantitative analysis for people who are from non-quantitative background or people from ACC and CA background? And I probably say yes. You will have 4 hours and you will have 100 MCQs that you will have to solve in the assigned hours. So one thing that I specifically do while teaching is, in the first class, I'll say that you'll have to do one quantitative question, ideally be able to do one qualitative question in one. Something we practice own liquidity and treasury management. Then we have risk management and investment management, and then current issue. Part 2 is more of theoretical. The part 1 is more of quantitative. So you will have some quantitative stuff in part 2 also, but part 1 is largely quantitative. So it's the part 1 is more tilted toward quant side, and the part 2 is more tilted towards the part 2 is more practical. So you will actually read what market risk is, how we go about it, what is the requirement, what does Basel mean, will say about it, what are the approaches in the operation, is you will go down into practicalities, how it's actually done. FRM curriculum, so exams are conducted exclusively in English, as is the case for all the certifications. It has around 100 plus exam sites around the world. Part 1 is also always offered in the morning, so 8 to 12, and then we have 2 to 6 in part 2. You can opt to appear in part 1 and part 2 at the same time on the same day, but that's not highly recommended. That's actually highly not recommended, because the quantum of the program is huge that you won't able to cover it. Even if you're able to cover it, basically the how the rule works is you will have to clear FRM1 part 1, uh, and if you're able to clear FRM part 1, then your part 2 will be checked. So basically, if you cleared part 2 but flunked it part 1, you will be failed. So this is how they have designed it. So you can appear in FRM part 1 and part 2 together, but it's not ideal. It's not very much, unless you have an IQ of 160 plus, and as I say, of example of Mike Ross of Suits. I don't know if you follow it. So if you have a photograph who can remember things like anything, and if you're that good in the numbers, then yes, sure, you should be able to take it. But for professionals like us who study such certification on a part-time basis, I think you should go for part 1 first. Okay, so exam scores and results. So negative marking nahi hoti. There is no negative marking. Passing scores are determined by FRM committee. Uh, then exam results are actually sent after 6 weeks after exam. You get it. So and the candidates basically relief quartile. So it's if you get quartile 1, it means that you are in 90% of all the people that appeared in the program. So you don't have to score good, you have to score better than others. But I was reading in one of the articles that mentioned, but ideally you should be able to score around 70% on an average. So that if you score fourth quartile in any of the position, you are going to fail. That's not correct. Basically, I scored quartile 4 in one of the portions, and I was able to clear it. In fact, I got 4 quartile in both of the part 1 and part 2. But that doesn't matter. What matters is in which part you get the fourth quartile. So if it's the financial crisis part, which has just 10% of the weightage, you are fine. And if you get, let's say, first quartile in 3 portions which had 10%, you are fine. Okay, so there are a lot of combination and permutation. That is something that we usually telling to my students that when I was, I just told you what sort of part 1 exam I had back then. So I was not expecting to pass, honestly. So on the exam day, basically what happened that our exams results were delayed. So our results were delayed, and we kept waiting and waiting and waiting. I think it was around 12 a.m. Here in Pakistan. We were supposed to get, I think, I don't know, during the daytime. But anyway, so the exams got delayed. Then we were, searching all of the FRM Facebook accounts. If LinkedIn didn't used to. So we got this trick. A guy posted that, what you need to go, you go to your profile on GARP website, and you select the option to get registered for part 2 exam. If it's given you that option of getting registered in the part 2 exam, it means you cleared the exam. So I did to register for part 2, and I was like, okay, I got clear, but no, let's wait. So I couldn't sleep, and ultimately I think the email came at around 4 a.m. in the morning, and I was up until then. I just couldn't sleep, and then I was able to confirm that okay, I passed. So anyway, so this is the exam criteria and how they do it. This one change in the COVID pandemic, they got delayed some of the exams, but one thing that they have changed is now we have 3 exams for part 1 in May, July, November, Initially, it used to be just 1 day. It's good now for the professionals. So you can take a day and you can plan it accordingly. It's CBT now. It's computer-based program now. So you can go there and you can appear it. Part 1 is now in May, July, and November, and part 2 is May and November. It used to be May and November for both part 1 and part 2 initially. So now coming to the question of the day that everyone keep asking, that what sort of a study hours is required. So GAP recommends that you should be studying at least 200 and a maximum of 400 hours to clear a FRM exam, depending on your background and experience. So by background, I meant if you are from a quantitative background, you should be able to grasp things better and you should be able to cover it in less amount of time. But if you are not from that particular background, maybe you will have to put some extra hours. But 200 to 400 is an ideal time. You should ideally target around 300 hours. That is something that I probably studied, and this is something that people recommend. So you should keep 300 hours in mind. What our classes covered, that we'll just discuss shortly, but this is the time that you should keep in mind. Ideally, having said that, you should start your preparation at least 3, 4, 5 months prior to the exam date, and you keep on studying consistently to be able to grasp the concept. Uh, as you will be appearing in May, it's ideal because you will have, God forbid, if you don't able to clear, you will appear in another exam before the year change, because every year something gets changed. So it doesn't change that much. It's around 5 to 10%, but the curriculum actually gets revised. Then fees, I think you can see on the website, but FRM part 1 cost around 400 for the registration, 550 and 750, and part 2 around 550 for the, so forget 750, 550 for the early registration. So live classes on Zoom. So basically, I'm on a different laptop right now, but I have this device on which I actually write on board. So you can go to my YouTube channel. Almas, if you could just share link for the lecture that we have uploaded on the YouTube, so people can just go through it how we teach it. So it's just like a normal thing. Okay, so last time I didn't include my own video, but I probably this time I'll be incorporating to have a better interaction. Then it will be presentation based modules, digital whiteboard. We will have fortnightly tests, weekly practice or quizzes. uh, we will be completing our session inshallah by probably April 25th. We will start on December 12th, so you will have 1 month for the completion. uh, Medium of class will be English, but I may be using Urdu in between. That will depend on the mix of our classes. If we have some non-Urdu speaking people, we will probably stick to English. But I have enough command on it to teach it. I have been conducting trainings on English all these years, so you shouldn't be worried about it. Then we will be conducting mock exams during the online classes. It's interactive, so you can write the question. How do we operate? Basically, I will complete one learning objective, and then I'll go to questions. You can write in the chat box, and if I don't able to understand it, I'll ask you to just unmute yourself and ask it there and then, and we will actually cover it. So we keep taking questions, and as a teacher, I become somewhat irritating, because I keep asking that, are you clear, are you clear, should we move on, should we move on? This is something that I ask after almost every couple of slides. Okay, so I'm a typical teacher when it comes to asking questions. So I make sure that people ask questions. There had been instances when a couple of, actually, in last session, when I was not able to answer there and then. It wasn't at the top of my mind, so I noted it down and I revised it, and then I covered it in the next session. So if there comes up something that I will not know, I will just say that I will have to look at and I'll come back to it, and I always do. Actually, but I try to make sure that whatever I deliver it in the right manner. Then the tentative schedule. So keeping this in mind, that we have a lot of people joining in from Middle East, uh, and considering Friday, Saturday, Sunday as weekend in Pakistan also. We have kept timing from Friday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's a 2 hours non-stop class. Then we have another session on 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. All as per Pakistani time. With a 15 minutes namaz break. Okay, so this will be timing. It will combined, it will be around 90 hours of classes only. Okay, last time we had around 2.5 months, so we had 3 classes per day. But alhamdulillah we were able to cover it up. So yeah, so this will be timings. If you miss any questions, we are developing our own learning management system, so you will have your own ID and password, so you will have all the recorded lectures available there, inshallah, very next day of the class. This is something that I already covered, that Garb mentions,
Mr.
200 to
Owais,
400.
sorry for interrupting. Can I ask you one question?
The classes, the online live classes only will have 90 hours of study. And if you keep on doing the quizzes and keep appearing in the test and preparing for it, you will easily cover around 200 hours. Then if you get to take the refresher that I'll just shortly discuss, you will reach to 300 hours easily. So with the refresher and also the classes, you will be able to uh, inshallah able to cover 300 study hours just with the classes. But obviously you will have to study for the quizzes and for the test. So other than classes, I will expect you to appear in the fortnightly test, and then do the quizzes. Okay, so every quiz will have around 20 to 25 questions per chapter. Okay, so you will have to do that at least. So you will have 5 days to do it, but if you're able to do that, I think you should be able to cover these hours. The content that we'll share, you will have live interactive classes, you will get recordings, as I earlier said, you will get lecture PDFs, we will have a exclusive WhatsApp group where we keep discussing things, you will have question bank quizzes available, and we will have a mock exam. So in the last session we introduced the refresher course. So what it is basically, since we complete our session, our classes 1 month prior to the exam, for next 30 days we continue with this refresher course. So what happens every day, you will get summary of the videos of the video recording that you did, but of the important portion. You will get key pointers, summary of the exam, summary of the chapter. You will get notes again, and then you will get formula sheet. You will spend around 2 to 2.5 hours daily, and you will be able to revise 2 chapters per day. So we got a lot of very positive response from the students whoever went through this refresh. So it provides a lot of good refresher. Is always available. We have a research analyst, Almaz, who is hosting today. So she's also available to answer your queries. So we keep answering other questions related to career other uh, than FRM also. So this is it. Last the package part. So the package one that is has all these things. So I'm not going into detail of these. You can just, I'll share it these presentation and you can just go through it. The package one is basically wholesome, which will have the live classes, the weekly practice quizzes, the fortnightly tests, the lecture notes, and the refresher course. The package 2 will have everything excluding the refresher course, and the package 3 will have only the recording and lecture notes and mock exams. It will not have any interaction. It will not have any WhatsApp group and whatnot. The pricing that we have kept is for the package one. It will be PKR 60,000 or USD 375. And after COVID discount, it's around 51,000 and USD 320. For the package 2 is around 4 to 500 and 330,000. Uh, we have two, since it's online, and if you are not comfortable, we are providing a 2 weeks money back guarantee. So if you have paid obviously in advance, but if you are not comfortable with the type of teaching and this online thing, you can just ask for money back in 2 weeks, and we will be giving it back without any question asked. That's something that has happened, that hasn't happened me, and I'm pretty sure if you get to attend my classes you won't be asking for it, but it's for your comfort. This is it. One last thing is that we are offering an early bird discount. So if you get registered and pay your fee by 30th November, you will be able to avail package 1 in price of package 2. So for USD 265 or 42,500, you will get everything that is available. So I think this is it. You can follow us at LinkedIn, Mastering FRM, YouTube.